Don't forget to subscribe in order not to miss the new stories.
Billy the Kid has bedded down after a long hard ride. The shadows were thick there, so thick that only a man with the eyes of a cat could have spotted the form that crept so softly forward. But the kid had them. The eyes of a cat by night, and by day, the eyes of an eagle, and both day and night, the strength and speed of a cougar.
Got you. Talk fast. Everybody knows me to be a friend of the Comanches. How come you tried to dryglutch me? Water. I came for the water in your canteen. Many moons have passed since our waterhole began to dry up. What are trying to hand me? There a HEA of water hereabouts. I know from the last time I rode through this territory. But the Watergod has spoken. We must drink only the water on our own land. Listen, you can hear him now. The Watergod's voice rises above the wind.
Hear me, Comanches. Hear me. Your throats shall remain as dry as the sands of the desert, as long as you uphold the peace treaty that dishonors the tribe. Hear me. Hear me.
Phew, he sure sounds spooky enough. But I'll bet my saddle that's a man talking up there, not a god. Here, friend, drink you fill. Then we'll mosey along to your encampment.
Later.
I have brought the paleface who is called the Kid. He wants to help us in our time of need, O chief. Nobody can help us. Who's the one doing all the bellowing? We can only HEKP ourselves by heeding the words of the Watergod. He is Yellow Claw, the shaman of our tribe. His spells are strong, and he is a fierce warrior too. I've come as a friend. I can see your people are suffering. I see your cracked lips and I hear your voices dry with thirst. All but Yellow Claw. His voice rings out strong. High slips aren't cracked. Ask him where he's been getting his fill water. Ask him why he hasn't been obeying the Watergod. I obey him, and the Watergod has spared my strength so that I could strike down the enemies of my tribe. Yeah? Well, he better give you more strength, pronto. If you aim to stand up against my first. Well, chief, you going to ask this sidewinder those questions? Bind Yellow Claw with thongs. Our eyes are blinds with our suffering. But now.
Hear me, Comanches. Yellow Claw is the friend of the Watergod.
That voice has them buffaloed. It's coming from that slope up there.
Hear me. Hear me.
It is the paleface who is your enemy. It is he who must be bound with thongs. Oh, they're turning against me. You heard the Watergod. Seize him. No, you don't. I'm making tracks out of here. Give chase. It is the command of the Watergod.
The kid kept circling and zigzagging all day. And all day they stayed on his trail.
They're closing in on me. My saddlebag's weighing my mount down. Faster, faster. The kid is just around the bend in the trail.
Once around the bend.
Up I go. And there they go, hot on my mount's trail. They'll never catch up with him, now that his saddle's empty. So far everything's gone fine. Now I'll mosey up on foot to where that Watergod was doing his yahooing from.
Later, up on the slope.
You did well to speak out when you did. The paleface was about to uncover the plot. The voices travel far in the clear air. I heard all, and spoke in time. Our warriors shall capture the paleface. And then. The shale's slipping underfoot. I'm falling. It was the paleface. He heard all. But now he lies at the bottom of the chasm. This has turned out well for us. Listen, pissed.
In the mooring.
You have returned empty-handed. But the Watergod has told me where the paleface can be found. Come, I shall lead you there. The ways of the water god are wise. He sees all and knows all. But, look, chief. The paleface moves. He is still alive. SSH, I hear a voice rising above the wind. The water god spake to us again.
Hear me, hear me. Seal the chasm at Bothans with rocks. Let the paleface be a prisoner within for the rest of his days. Hear me.
Work fast, my warriors, for the water god has spoken.
Rumble crash.
Our work is done here. Let us go back to. Chief, look. The landslide uncovered water that was running under the mountain. The water god is pleased with us. He has given us water. I did not foresee the uncovering of an underground stream. But the fools think this is the water god's doing. They will listen when he says the peace treaty must be broken. Nothing moves in the chasm. The boulders scattered as they fell. The kid may already be. Who? That landslide uncovered more than water, Yellowclaw. It uncovered a rock fissure too, that made a right fine exit from chasm. Took me some time to get here because first I stopped to hogtie your sidekick, the fake water god. The two of them saw their chance to stir up trouble, chief, when the waterhole began to doctor up. They wanted to drive the tribe back on the warpath. They counted on your going down in battle, and they're taking over.
Later.
Our hearts are filled with joy. Because of you we have both water and peace. Reckon I'm not any more use here, chief. And since I was never meant to gather moss by staying put even among friends. I'll be traipsing along now.
For more stories, click on the link in the description.